Monday, YouTube, and happy Black History Month. It is Thursday, so you know what that means. It is time for another action figure unboxing, and today we're doing a character, an iconic character from my childhood. From the G.I. Joe line, a character so nice, I buy almost every action figure I can get, every variation I can get. Sergeant Lonzo Stalker. I really like this character, and a lot of people say, well, why does representation matter? Why, Charles, are you even making a big deal out of Black History Month? Well, the reason why is when I was younger, I really didn't have a whole lot of representation of people that look like me, like my uncles, like my father, on the television and cartoons that was presented to me. And when I saw that representation, it made me feel like I could be that. And as well, my father was a veteran of the Air Force and Army Reserve. And he carried the similar type of look, the mustache, the short crop hair, so on and so forth. So it was kind of a reminder of my father who I looked up to as well. So very happy to get this in my collection. I actually have a couple of Sergeant Stalker action figures that are very much different than this. So we'll do a comparison, but I had to get this. This is from the Retrocard line, and as you can see, it has a big, bold card. This is more of the comic book / cartoon iteration of Sergeant Stalker, and in this particular line, we have a Retrocard Cobra, and as well as a Viper. Good troop builder here if you can get your hands on that one. It has a biography of Sergeant Stalker on the back. Sergeant Stalker, Wilkinson, Lonzo R. Let's see, what does it say here? Royal Ranger, Primary Specialty Infantry, Secondary Specialty Medic Interpreter, birthplace Detroit, Michigan. Generals may win campaigns, but it's the sergeants who win the battles, mostly by yelling and kicking butt. Functions well under high stress and intelligent stress situations. Intelligent, receptive, moves like some sort of jungle cat. Silent, fast, and strong. So without further ado, let's get this guy open. I am not a mince on card collector. I like to open them up and get my hands on them. So we're not even going to worry about preserving the card here. Now, the way that I do these reviews is I talk about 3 different aspects. We start off with appearance. Does it capture the essence of the character? Does it have any cool features? We'll look at the details, so on and so forth. Then we're going to talk about articulation. How does it move? How does it pose? And then after articulation, we talk about accessories, of which we have a whole lot here. Starting with this stand here. If I can get him popped into the stand here. Yeah, I cannot get him to pop into the stand. Here we go. Nope. For some reason, though it's the stand he comes with, the peg holes do not want to help me out there. Finally got this bugger out. So let's start with the appearance. The very first full-size 6-inch scale I got was this guy right here. I like this action figure right off because it has more of the realistic camouflage, the darker, more muted greens, and look like something you would actually see a soldier wear. A lot of the same accessories here, it looks like. Virtually identical. We'll see as we get into this how close it is. Plus, he has this awesome scarf here that I really appreciate. But this new one is more of the comic book iteration, more of the cartoon, like I said, with the retro cards. If you remember when I unboxed the Scarlet, she wears in the retro card line, she has the yellow swimsuit type attire, whereas the other classified looks more grounded in reality. And so that's why I got this. It's, a completely different figure from my other 6-inch, but not so much from another action figure that I have in my collection. You see, when I was younger, G.I. Joes were not 6 inches. I grew up in the era of the 3-inch, 3.5-inch action figure era. And so I got a lot of action figures that looked more like this guy, except for back in my day, they were not this detailed and articulated. It was more of a glossy plastic, a lot less articulation, and you had the rubber gasket that actually held everything together in here. So they were a lot less durable than the 3-inch figures we have here. But if you look at this 3-inch figure, does it look familiar? It should look familiar because it is virtually a smaller clone of the Retrocard action figure. So I really like that. I got, like I said, three different variations of Lonzo Stalker here. So yeah, let's take a look. The beret comes off. I like that. The face scan actually looks, looks like the same head as we have on the other classified Sergeant Stalker. Here we go. And then we have right here, this looks like some kind of holster here. We're going to have some spaces for possibly weapons. We'll see how that works out. We have a holster on the right leg for the sidearm and one on the left for the knife accessory. Very good action figure. Well balanced. Looks great. So now let's talk about articulation. The head is on a ball joint, so you get complete freedom of movement there from the neck. You go down to the shoulders. We have the shoulders go up and down. And we have a butterfly cut at the shoulders, so you get a little bit more extension behind the back and a lot more across the body. It's a small detail that makes a whole lot of difference when you get to posing these action figures. We have a cut between the shoulder and the bicep for horizontal movement. We have a double jointed pinless elbow. You see that there. Without the pins, you have a little bit more realism there. And then the torso, like all the other retro cards, is on a rocker. So you get a lot of back and forth movement. And the hip, not so much movement, slight side to side. It's on a swivel. So you do have the round and round motion. And then as far as the hands, they go all the way around. And then, let's see, is it going to be the back and forth? Yes, the up and down hand motion. Now, see, one thing I noticed with my last review, I always question, because I noticed here lately, that a lot of the hands, instead of going back and forth with this motion, they go up and down with this motion. And I thought to myself, why are they doing that? That's such a strange decision. And then I was posing an action figure with a weapon. Was it this one? I think, yeah. I was posing this G.I. Joe, and I noticed that when I wanted to get the firearm up at his eye level, that up and down motion allows you to get a little bit more realistic posing with a firearm. So that is something that I figured out after messing around with this guy a little bit. And so that is a very cool and underrated change that Hasbro has made to the G.I. Joe line, which is small, but when you realize what it's for, it is huge and a game changer as far as realism and photography goes. So I really appreciate that new motion that they've added in the last couple of years to the wrist. Go down to the legs, we have a ball joint, a cut in the thigh for left to right horizontal movement. The joints are a little bit stiff there. I suggest mild heat. A lot of guys, their go-to is to boil them. Or put them into warm water. I don't do that. You notice I have my laptop here. And if you have a laptop, you know that that thing heats up and you have the cooling vent on the side. Well, if you place this right next to your cooling vent for a few minutes, those joints are going to loosen up without damaging the plastic. So that is one way that I suggest you can do that. We have double jointed pinless knees. And then we have a cut at the top of the boot here for a horizontal left to right movement. Back and forth. And a slight side to side on the ankle. So as far as articulation goes, I give that an A+. I will give the appearance an A. And then let's talk about accessories, of which we have many. We have this nifty gun pack here that plugs into the back. Like so. And it looks like it fits this little, I guess not little, I'm not sure what kind of gun it is, I'm not a gun expert, but it's the same one that comes with every Sergeant Stalker action figure I've ever owned. So apparently it's some kind of signature model. And it does, this is odd. It's not fitting in the holster. Maybe this holster is for, okay, yeah, that's weird. Usually this gun fits right into this back part here, like on this old 6-inch here. But the big difference is on the older one, you do not have this. Is this a handle or a magazine? It looks like a magazine sticking out the front here that is. It comes out. Okay. So the magazine comes out. Now you can fit the gun. Fits like a glove. And then we have a side compartment that you can store the magazine on. I'm going to take a look at the older figure to see if it's the same thing. Oh. Okay, yeah, there is a storage space for the magazine on this gun pack here, but there's also a storage space for a magazine on the sidearm holster. So that's where I put the magazine on this one. And it looks like we have the same setup here. So we have two places where you can store the magazine, either in the back part here, the backpack, or you could store it next to the sidearm. Okay, and then we have a pistol with a silencer. You know what? Come to think of it, maybe this part right here is for the silencer. That would make sense. Let's see, does the silencer fit next to the sidearm? It does not. So let's get the gun in here. So you got this piece right here. And then we have this trusty knife. I like the fact that it went multiple colors. Silver blade, black handle, and it has its own sheath on the left leg. And then this comes with some kind of heavy machine gun. And you actually have bullets coming out the side of it here. I like that. That is something that I did not get on the original action figure. So here we go. We got them all kitted out. As far as the accessories go, I would give them a B. I like the weapons, but this backpack accessory here for one of the guns, it is offset from the peg hole in the back. And so when you get it plugged in, it really creates a weird effect of the holster around the body being elevated, which is a weird thing. And we have compartments that it looks like are for certain pieces that just do not fit in these compartments at all. And I'm talking about the extra magazine and the silencer for the pistol. And so I am not a huge fan of the accessories, but still, this is a great action figure. It's not one probably that I'll be doing a lot of photography with. This is going to be something that will probably be permanently stationed here in my background with all my other, a lot of my other favorite figures. Maybe I can do photo shoots with other Retrocard figures, but it would clash with the more realistic looking action figures that make up the majority of my collection. So that has been my unboxing of the Retrocard Sergeant Stalker. I was able to get it at a great price. I think $16 as a matter of fact on Walmart.com. And even before inflation and the tariffs hit, $16 for G.I. Joe Classified was a great deal. And right now, with the prices being the way they are, this is an incredible deal. So go out and get it while you can. I highly suggest it. Outside of some nitpicks with the accessories, absolutely love it. So I'll see you guys next time. Until then, keep buying them action figures. I'm out.